Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to another Kartik reading session for today. Um, Today we have a special guest, His Grace Manindra Prabhu. Just a little bit about Prabhuji. So Prabhu came in contact with Krishna consciousness a while back in 2002. Um, and he mentioned to me he was going there for mostly for prasadam, like most of us start our Krishna consciousness, I guess, in that way. His father, Prathasmaraniya Advaita Priya Prabhuji, is an initiated disciple and was an initiated disciple, and he used to encourage him to chant. But Prabhuji obviously, wanted to take his time. But he finally got initiated by His Holiness Satchidananda Swami in 2023. We all know about Prabhuji's family, Raval family, has such wonderful devotees there, starting with Maya Prachanda Prabhu, Krishna Kumar Prabhu, Madhavendra Prabhu, Harinamananda Prabhu, and of course, Manindra Prabhu as well. Professionally, Prabhuji is a doctor. When I was asking him, what kind of a doctor are you? He just told me to say something, I think it's an American expression, so I don't understand. He said, womb to tomb. So maybe he can explain that a little better during the session or before he starts his session. Today we're going to talk about a story from Srimad Bhagavatam, King Chitraketu's awakening. So without further ado, if you can just quickly come off mute and welcome Prabhuji with a loud Haribol.
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 Manindra Prabhu, over to you now.
Thank you so much. Haribol. Okay. So just
I'll start sharing. Give me 1 second. Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah, okay. Everybody can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay. So please bear with me. This is my first presentation ever, and I'm more fluent in Gujarati. And that's like two problems, that I speak fast and I think fast and I speak. So if somebody gets confused, please tell me to slow down. Just to get rid of jitteriness before we start Mangalacharna, I'll start with a joke, and I'll pick on. It's a spiritual joke, though, and I'll pick on my host, so Raktak Prabhu. See, Ramchandra Prabhu is very fond of giving the quizzes. So there was a quiz and there was some prize. So me and Rakta Prabhu got tied. We had both answer correct. So it was a quiz about Damodar Lila. So then Ramchandra Prabhu said, whom to give first prize? So I said, give me because I'm older than him. So he said, no, let's give another quiz. And then he gave 16 questions. That was really tough. And in that one also we tied. So finally, Ramchandra Prabhu looked at the scores and then he said, okay, I'm giving to go with the prize to Rakta Prabhu. So I said, oh my God, this is not fair, because, I'm senior than him and we both have 15 questions right out of 16. And why Ramchandra Prabhu is being partial, So, Ramchandra Prabhu said, Manish Prabhu, you don't want to know, Manindra Prabhu, you don't want to know why I'm giving prize, but let it's okay. It's a devotional quiz anyhow, So no, I insisted. So finally he showed me the quiz, that the answer key. And in 15 question, Rakta Prabhu wrote that I don't know the answer. And I wrote it, I also don't know. So it was copy and paste. Okay. I hope I didn't kill my own joke. Okay. So let's start with Mangalacharan. Om Magnanatimirandhasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Nama Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Prabhu, please do next slide. Vandeham Shri Gurun Sriyutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavansh Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadhvetam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitansh. Okay, I can keep going on. I know Mangalacharan, and it's actually, there is no end. We can, but this Mangalacharan sums up everything. Actually, we can stay on that slide, Prabhu, please. for a second. Okay, thank you. So, I mean, my Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Satyananda Swami always say that, whenever you do something, you have to apply your mind. So if we be mindful to this Mangalacharan, there is like, Chaitanya Lila there, and there is a Krishna Lila there. And we are offering obeisances to Bhagwan himself and his parikars. So what I'm trying to say, here, like, if we apply mind, that, this is like, there are two worlds. There is a spiritual world, there is a material world. And that's why I selected this slide. It didn't came out good, but we all have this chart, right? We have a chart which is made by the ISKCON Desire Tree. This chart, it tells that there are like material world is like a bubbles. They are bubbles, like, it's actually, it's like it's egg, but we can call it bubble, and it's actually bubble. So it comes, and it comes from the Mahavishnu's, like, in one breath it takes birth, and when he exhales it manifests, and when he inhales it goes inside him. So if you compare, because I'm a doctor, we kill so many germs when we take a breath in, and we kill, like, when they, like, and in our body there are so many germs. When we leave our body, actually those germs, they are still there, they don't leave. So what I'm trying to say is this Mangalaj, while we are, like, uh, uh, Lord Krishna and Lord Balram, there is no difference. That's what we are being told. They come to, in the Kalyug, they come in a, in Kalyug, they don't come directly, they come in the covert form. So I think I got in Mangalaj, we can be mindful for the Lord himself and his devotees. They are eternal in the what you call Nitya Lila. So that's what I want to. So that's why we will, we'll pause second, and everybody, like, because I've been told that, in my ISKCON disciple course, you don't worship your guru publicly. So we'll just, everybody, please, all the Vaishnavas, please bless me. They in for 1 second, or they chant their guru's param mantra in their mind, and then we'll go further. I'll do my guru's param mantra. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Sachidanand Swami Nityanam. Okay, Prabhu, can you please go to next slide? So in this slide, I select, this is in Hindi, please pardon me, but I'll read the English translation. So I got it from because it's a Damodar month. So Bilva Mangal Thakur, as we know, he is a very exalted personality. He was, I think, 800 BC, if I'm not correct. Somewhere we are in 2023, so somewhere around like 1500 years ago. So he wrote like Krishna Karnamrut, and there are actually 210 sloks. So I got it as one of them from that one slok, and which is very pertinent in the Damodaran. So we're gonna sing that. Whosoever knows Hindi, sing with me, and then I'll read the English. Yashodaya Gardhamulukalena Gokantha Pashena Nibadyamana रुरोद मंद नवनीत भोजी गोविंद दामोदर माधवेति. Being firmly tied up to the riding mortar with a cow's rope by Mother Yashoda, the plunderer of butter softly whimpered, Govind Damodar Madhava. So if anybody wants to sing their favorite Mangala, like some favorite verse, they can sing. If somebody, if nobody, then we can go further. But you can sing, and this was pertinent. That's why I sang. I guess no. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, so my story today, we have to talk about Chitraketu's lamentation. So so far, this Kartik reading is so wonderful. We know, like, up to the like, everybody talk, and then lately topics are picked up differently, but that's fine. Actually, it's a continuum, like yesterday speaker said it. It is like it is nicely flowed. So basically, Chitraketu, this comes in the sixth canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and it first the Vyasdev tells the story of the Ajamil. Ajamil story is narrated. It's the duties of the mankind basically. So what is our duty? We as a mankind. So it's a devotional service. So the question arises after the glorious death of Vatrasur. Maharaj Parikshit asked Sukdev Goswami that it's very hard for the even rishis and sages to become Lord's devotee. How come Chitraketu became Lord's devotee? So that's when the Parikshit Maharaj answers. So this is a very pertinent. There are so many verses in that thing, but I selected because my Guru Maharaj says, in one right question is better than thousand nonsense answers. So let's just read this slok. Devanam Shuddha Sattvanam Rishinam Cha Malatmanam Bhakti Mukunda Charane Na Prayena Upajayate. Demigods situated in the modes of goodness and the great saints uh, cleansed with the dirt of material enjoyment hardly ever render pure devotional services at the lotus feet of Mukunda. So, it's very rare. So how did Chitraketu got it? So let's see, like who was a Chitraketu? See, we know that who he became. He became Vasrasur, and ultimately he became Balramji's Parshad. So basically, he was Balramji's Parshad to begin with, and it was the Satyuga. We know that Brahma was the first living being, and before we came to ISKCON, our philosophy is Achintya Bheda Ved. So people think most of the people in the spiritual lineage, they think that this all happens because of the God's will. But our ISKCON philosophy teaches it's not God's will, it's God's mercy, because Jiva, we all have desires. So whatever we desire, usually we belong to spiritual worlds to begin with. And actually, Achintya Bheda, so there is technically no difference between spiritual and material world. Only difference is the time applies here. And there are three modes of like Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas in spiritual, in the material world. There is no time in spiritual world. So that's why this material world is Dukhalayam and Ashashvatam. Why is Dukhalayam? Because we desire to come here. So we read the Bhagavatam, it says the living entity is transcendental to all these things. But when he is in the spiritual world, it desires something, and most likely desire is to enjoy separately from Krishna. And that's why out of his mercy, Lord fulfills his wish and puts him in the material world. And we will come to in my poems I selected from Narsi Mehta later on, that how that happens. But and everybody knows that, they are like, we have read the Bhagavatam. So we come to the material because we desire that. And once we desire that, we loses our spiritual, that knowledge that we are a part and parcel of the God, and we should not get attached with the material world. We are meant to serve Krishna in the spiritual world. And spiritual world is not boring, it's 24/7 party going on. I just picked up one, see, one day Krishna in the spiritual world, this is how it happens, that Sachinanda, this is my favorite story from so many stories I learned from Sachinanda Swami. One day Krishna decided that, if somebody told, like somebody from Narad Muni or somebody told Krishna that, why do you have to say sorry to Radharani all the time? You are God, you are renounced, just don't talk to her, don't say sorry to her. So Krishna said, sounds like miserable. So he said that when he was pleading Radharani, but because of some offense, he sat down in the meditation. And the Radharani started saying sorry. Oh Krishna, I'm sorry. And then she cried and cried. And the Lord, we know that Lord is like, if Lord wants to do something, so he didn't open his eyes. So it happened like few hours, and then Radharani finally gave up, and she went to Yamuna bank and she started crying. She cried so much that Yamuna had like a flood with her tears. So then Maharani said, Radha, why are you crying? So Krishna is not talking to me. He is trying to become God. He doesn't talk to me. So he said, okay, let me teach him a lesson of his life. So she dressed, Yamuna Maharaj is Shyam, as we know. She dressed up like a Krishna and she took her parikars and she started playing balls. And she told them that to address her as a Krishna. So Krishna, this is the ball you throw, and they started playing and joking. So Krishna's meditation is, why are you kidding, Yamuna? I know you are Yamuna and these are your parikars. I am Krishna. So then Yamuna said, no, ask these people. I am Krishna. So now what to do? So he can go to Yashoda, Mother Yashoda. He cannot go to Balram. No, everybody else was mixed with, like, they most of the people they didn't knew, or some of the people they knew, they were inside of Yamuna Maharani because they know what's going on. So then Krishna said, okay, only Radha would take my side now. Let me go to Radha. So he goes to Radha and he said, Radha, can you please tell who is Yamuna and who is Krishna among us? Naturally. So Radha, he said, you are Krishna. So then Lord, sometimes, see, Radharani is the topmost devotee of Lord. So like we know the Krishna from Prabhupada and all our exalted devotees, in order to know the Krishna, because anybody can come and tell you, some opulent person, in Bhagavatam it says, when in the second chapter, in the second chapter, when they talk about, like, Purush, after Purush Sutra, Brahmaji says that aham bhavo yagna ime prajesha. That verse ends with the that anything you see which is energy of Lord, but it's not Lord. Tattvam param vada swarupam, but it is not the Lord himself. It is the Lord by himself. My Guru Maharaj says Krishna Bhagwan is like, Krishna Bhagwan, when he takes in the Vrindavan, when he takes one step right, he becomes Balram. So there is no, but then that is called Vaibhav Prakash. His Prabhav Prakash, when he goes to Ras Rani, there are 1,000 Krishna. In the Ras Leela, there are so many Krishnas. One Gopi has one Krishna, but main Krishna is with Radha Rani. And there is no difference with yesterday or 2 days ago, there was Sobri Muni's Leela, and Prabhuji explains nicely that, Sobri Muni expanded himself, but wherever he was doing the same thing. But Krishna, when he expands, he does the different thing with different people. But Balramji, becomes Krishna. So because he wants to serve Krishna, so he is a Lord in form of devotee. That's why in Chaitanya Lila he becomes Nityananda Prabhu. Even though he's elder, he serves Lord. And also in Ram Lila he becomes Lakshman, and so on and so forth. So what I'm trying to say, the spiritual world is always parties 24/7 going on, but we somehow decided to hear. So it's not because material world is created by the mercy of the Krishna, not by the mercy of the Krishna, or not by the desire of Krishna. He doesn't want us to come here. And that's why material world is bhutva bhutva praliyati. So that's why Krishna says that if you come to material world, the only way to come back is to mamupet. That's why I selected this verse from Bhagavad Gita, that mamupetya punarjanma dukkhalayam ashashvatam napnuvanti mahatmanam sansiddhim paramam gati. So Krishna gives us and then our Lord is, Maharaj always says that Lord is not imposing himself. He showed the way, and that's why this chapter starts with duty with mankind. When you approach Krishna, when you approach Krishna, there will be no punarjanma, and we can see from the example, from the beginning, as soon as Brahma approached the Krishna, Krishna told why he was born, and it was Brahma's desire to become a creator. And that's why I can tell one joke too. I learned from our Lal Govind Prabhu, that how do you become somebody? We are all living entity. So there is a price for that. If you do your duty for 84 million species and follow the dharma, then you can become Brahma. If you do 100 Ashwamekh Yagna, you can become Indra. So these are we don't want to become somebody. Krishna created us as a living entity. We have all some service in the spiritual world. We have to understand that minute detail. We don't want to do that service, and we think somebody else's service is better, or we think why Krishna is the endurer, and that's why we come to material with our desire. When we say that enough is enough. I'm done with this Dukhalam and Rashasam. That's why, when Krishna says in somewhere that Yashyam Anugrahinami Harishye Taddanam Shane. Tadan Sajan, everybody knows that. So when he gives Anugrah, you have some problem, and that would come in next verse. Let's go to next slide, Prabhu, please. Okay, this slide is different. So when you don't approach a Krishna and keep doing hard work like so many people does, so that's when this happens. Yenne ravindaksha vimukta manina svaya sadbhavat vishuddha buddhaya aruya kruchena param padam tata patantyato patantyato yushmadnadratandaya. So basically, Lord Brahmaji, when Krishna was in the Devaki mother Devaki's womb, the demigods are praying, and Lord Brahma is saying, those who are not the devotees but who have accepted a different process of attaining salvation, what happens to them? In answer to this question, Lord Brahma and other demigods said, O lotus-eyed Lord, although non-devotees who accept the service attitudes and penances to achieve the highest position may think themselves liberated, their intelligence is impure. They fall down from their position of imaginated superiority because they have no regard for your lotus feet. So when coming to material world, we know the root cause is our desire to fulfill our desire, and so-called liberation. When you get that one, and because we don't have regards to Lord's lotus feet, we fell down again and again. And we can go to up to the Brahmalok, but we fell down. We don't cross this material ocean, and when don't go back to our original position. Let's go to next slide, Prabhu, please. Okay, so King Chetra, let's just finish. So Chitraketu was, Vasrasur. Every Yug Sandhya, as we know, there is a battle between demigods and demigods and asuras. So in this, there was a battle between Vasrapur and Indra. Indra killed Vasrasur, and then Indra offends his own guru Brahaspati. So then he was cursed, and then after the Vasrasur's glorious death, Lord Krishna, I mean, the Parikshit Maharaj asked so that then Sukdev ji says that Vasras, I mean, the Chitraketu was a king of a place named Sursena. So that's why I selected that chart. We can go to my previous slide, any slide. We know that chart of thing. So the Jambud, this Brahmand is like a, it's like a round thing, and there are concentric 7 circles which King Priyavata, the son of Manu, he did with his chariot. He made 7 circles. So centralmost circle of that concentric circle is called Jambudvipa. So Jambudvipa is called Earth, at that time. So basically he was the ruler of whole Jambudvipa. Then, as we know in the 5th chapter, that Maharaj Bharat, the Jambudvipa is divided in 9 by the Rishabdev's son Maharaj Bharat, by the nine departments. The lower world is called Bharatvarsha, which is called the whole world. It was called Bharatvarsha. Then Bharatvarsha is divided in 9 khandas. So we have like nine America, Antarctica, and then Asia. And above Bharatvarsha, there is I have a picture. We have but that Jandrudip was the whole thing. And in the Satyuga, first Satyuga, this Chitraketu was a king of the Sursen. He was ruling basically whole world. And what I like about this thing is, the Sukdev Goswami says these 7 things were in order. So from the Brahma to the little ant, the whole material world, if you think as a body, it makes of 20, Bhagavatam teaches that it makes of 28 elements. And then my father was a professor of chemistry. So, when I was taught initially, if somebody knows chemistry, we had 28 animals, 28 basic elements, in the chemistry. So what I'm trying to say, from 28, so that Lord says that, it's a combination of 9, 11, 5 and 3. So what are the 9? It's the living entity, Mahat Tattva, the material nature, and false ego. That's four. And the five objects of sense perception. That is the that is the touch, sound, touch, form, smell, Shabda, Sparsh, Roop, Gan, fire, fire, and the taste and the smell. So one comes from the other one, like that's five things. And then the five sense, five the working senses, and five this like receptive senses. So 10, and the main sense is the mind. And then three modes of material nature: sattva, rajas, and tamas. And then five Bhumi, Rapo, Analo, Vayu, five basic tattvas. So that's how the 21 to 28 animals, different combination. That so that's why, who am I am a living entity. So there is this poet Narsi Mehta, who happened to be in Gujarat. He was a really, like, everybody knows about Narsi Mehta, some people don't know. But he was really, he himself says that, that he was actually in the Gop Lila. He says that, there was a marriage between Lord Krishna, I mean, the Vasudev and Devki ji, that happened there is nowhere there, but he was there. He was a Vasudev's, Vasudev was the Jamindar, and he was a subordinate to him. So he took some gift, and it happened on Chaitra Sud Dwadashi. He was there. And he was born here in Chaitra Sud Punam. That's why he was named, because that was Narshi Trayodashi. He was named as a Narsi Mehta. So basically, he says that everybody says there is only one Lord, but who am I? That nobody's thinking. So this bhajan is Gujarati. I'll try to sing in, and then I can explain why I selected this bhajan. Is that okay? Like, is anybody knows in Gujarati, or that's fine? I can try it, right? Or maybe let me not sing, but it says that, ek tu em sahu kos tave, kon hu ek kan vichare. That means everybody says, praying to Lord, that you are one. Christians, everybody, there is only one Lord. But who am I? Most of the people don't think. Who am I? Where did I came from? Why? कौन छू हूँ क्या तकी आवियो जग विषय जैसे क्या देह छूटशे जारे. Who am I, and where did I came from, and where did I want? Where would I go when I leave this body? So every time we ask, we have desire. We don't approach the Lord. We approach we think we approach the Lord, but we don't approach the Lord for our desire. I mean, we don't approach the Lord to get something, because that is according to our karma. Lord doesn't change our karma unless until we approach him for the bhakti. As soon as we approach him for bhakti, our karma gets nullified. But otherwise we have to, because it's like, if you minutely understand, we were somebody previous birth, and at the time of the death, we had some desire, so we get this body. But again, we have our karma, so that comes with us, it doesn't get nullified. So we want to be millionaire, but we don't have that kind of a good karma. We'll get a birth as some disabled person in millionaire's house, so you are millionaire, but that's of no use. So if devotees permit me, I would like to sing this bhajan. Is that okay? I can sing this bhajan, or no? Or it would be too much, right? Okay, let's go to next slide then.
All glories. I mean, Prabhuji, please. I mean, I'm fine. Everybody's fine.
Okay, so let's. Okay, so this is my father's poem I selected. So that tells me who am I. My body. So we all talk about that bubble. Our body is air inflated bubble. So I can recite this poet. As I said, my father was a history of chemistry. So speaks history to the professor of chemistry. One shall not trust this given body. After all, it's an air inflated bubble. So worship he who ends the trouble. Worship Din Dayal. My father's addressing Lord as a Din Dayal. Din Dayal means Lord is very especially merciful to the people who are humble. Okay. The life air would go even before I know. While the bubble has his air. Worship he who is never unfair. Worship Din Dayal. My mother went through a lot for a life that I have got. To repay the blessing that's all, I should worship the father of all, worship Din Dayal. My father dreamed and worked hard to provide me with a loving God. Now the how, now to know how he feels, I worship the only one that heals. Worship Din Dayal. Innumerable time I came to earth in this cycle of death and birth in order to end what I am going through. Let me do what I'm supposed to do. Worship Din Dayal. Anant, that was my father's name in the poem. Anant, how much invaluable time does one have? Knows only Supreme Soul in order to achieve that ultimate goal. Worship Din Dayal. So basically, how much we gonna live, it's only God knows. But whenever we have this body, we have to use it for Lord's devotional service, so we don't go through the life and death. So just to complete the story of Chitraketu, Maharaj Chitraketu was really, really, really pious soul. You cannot imagine that he was the king of a whole earth. If we own something, we know how much lucky we are. So he was a king and he was doing his job very faithfully, like Lord Ramchandra was taking care of his subject like a father. He was very affectionately taking care of his subjects. What happened is actually 10 million wives, because he kept marrying. His main wife was Kirti, but he did not had a son. So in order to get a son, because everybody, we think that if we have a son or offspring, that can give the tarpan to our pitrus and forefathers, and who will continue your name, your dynasty. So that's why he will be putting as a king. So he was always worried about that was killing him. And by their own mercy, like Prabhupada came to USA, the Sage Angira and Sage Angira was visiting him, and then when King knew the position of Sage Angira, so he was very humble, and then he worshipped him and everything. And Sage knew what was going on in King's mind, so he asked, you look worried, King, really. So then King told him his problem. So then Sage gave him, okay, you will have son, but that son would give you the happiness as well as lamentation. So King Kshetra, when we that is another point Prabhupada is making in his purport. King Kshetra didn't heard that it will the cause of his lamentation. He was so happy, so he got a son, and then he was so happy, and he was taking care of his wife who gave him a son, the main wife Kirta. I'm not saying in name right. So the other wives, he had a 10 million wife, as we know. So they all get jealous, and they thought that the son is the root cause of their ignorance, king's ignorance toward them. So they gave the poison to son, and that's when king started lamenting again. And that's when Narad Muni and Maharishi Angira comes again and tells by the sweet will of the Lord, they come, they came, and they educated a king. They told him, and they brought the son back to the life. And son is telling the king, what do you say? Whose son? I had so many births, I don't know which father you are. And let me proceed with my goal. I want to achieve something. I don't want to come back to this body. That's when King Chitraketu understands, and Lord Maharshi and Narad and Maharishi Angira educates his life. Actually, Naradji becomes his guru. And this seventh thing again comes, like Maharaj Parikshit got delivered in 7 days. Maharaj Chitraketu also meets the Lord in 7 days. And then he continues, he becomes Chitraketu Gandharva, as we know. And he didn't offended Mother Parvati, but she felt, and actually mother, whenever you get the devotee, we learn from that thing is that devotee never, if Gajendra, when Gajendra he was cursed by the Agastya Muni, it was actually blessing, because the king Indradumna was doing tapasya, he was going nowhere. But because Lord Lord does the mercy somehow this way. So then he became Gajendra, and Lord, he became Vishnu Duta, and and then by the mother Parvati's curse, Chitraketu became Vritrasur, and he got killed by the Indra. But we all know the glorious daughter about the Vritrasur, and and then he became Balramji's Parshad. So basically, we started in the Chitragupt. I mean, the Chitraketu was Balram Parshad, and he became Balram Parshad. But he had some desire. That's why we don't know. Let's not go there. That's what I was listening to some lecture, and then Mukund Dutt Goswami. He's the Prabhupada disciple, and he was giving a lecture on Sadhu Sangha about Bali Maharaj, and somebody said Bali Maharaj's sister became Putna. So that is, and then somebody said she became somebody else. So he really got visibly annoyed. He said, let's not think about what Krishna gave her. So basically, she is a breastfeeding mother of Krishna in the eternal abode. So same thing, Chitraketu is Balram Parshad, and we are here, but we are also, the material world is like unlimited. I mean, spiritual world. I'm sorry. In spiritual world, we have some duty, but unfortunately, we didn't like that duty, and that's why we are here. So now we have to understand whatever is our situation, good or bad, which is there is nothing good. Prahlad Maharaj says that, there is a joke to that, everything was going on good, and I decided I got married. This is a joke, please. Both the gender can take that way. So we don't want to try become. There is no happiness in material world. This material world is Lord Himself says it. That's dukkhalayam and ashwasadam. Thank God it's ashwasadam, because otherwise dukkhalayam, we should be misery in all the time. Everything is time bound here, and there is no happiness. There is practically no. If you think you are well adjusted in your life, the problem is waiting. And it's good that problem comes. You have lamented. There are two. Sachidananda Swami always says there is spiritual lamentation. It's called vipralamba, and material lamentation is called ignorance. But somehow, Krishna, I selected that, but Krishna is the Navnit Bhoji. So in Gujarati, if you say the lamentation, it's called, Maru Haryu Valovai Gayu Che. That means I'm pierced. Some pain. Krishna doesn't like his, because we are all part and parcel of, so he sends people like Prabhupada or Maharishi Narad or Angira by his sweet will. So when we are lamenting, we should approach this kind of holy people. We can do always see, we don't have their Vapus, but we have our Guru Maharaj's Vapu, but their Vani is always there. So we can approach to whenever we have something. There is no good in material, but whatever good happens or whatever bad happens, we should lament in a way that why did that happen? Because I desire to enjoy separately from Krishna, and let me not do that. So that's why I'll just end my talk with my father's favorite slok, which is also from the Krishna Kandamrit. Sukhavasane idmev saram, दुःखावसाने इदमेव गेयम्, देहावसाने तु इदमेव जाप्यम्, गोविन्द दामोदर माधवेति. So whenever there is no happiness in the material world, but if some happiness comes, we should chant Govind Damodar Madhaveti at the same time. Like Narayan Kavach. Narayan Kavach, our mala is our kavach. We should do it every time in the morning, and Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Basically saying, oh Lord's energy, please engage me in your service. We should do it with the prescribed number, and we should increase of course, the quality and the quantity at the same time. And we should go back to Godhead, and we can go there. Prabhupada has shown us a nice way, and I think I'm done early, but that's okay. We can discuss. We can take some questions too.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
That was nicely presented. You mentioned quite a few points, but mostly about how we should not look for the wrong thing or for the right thing in the wrong place, which is, you mentioned, not looking for any happiness here. We still have to go about our duties, our lives in general. And I also liked, you seem quite fond of your father. You referenced him a couple of times. It was very nice to hear about the poem that he wrote and generally things that he liked. So it was nice. Thank you. We can open up the floor for any questions. We can either come off mute or just raise your hand, either or. Yeah, Ashish Pachuri, Prabhuji, you can come off mute, please. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I think how wonderful it was for you to initially set the expectations for everybody that I speak fast. So I was taking care of that part, trying to listen as much as I could listen and also comprehend, right? One thing I still did not understand, um, that as human, we wanted to come in this world, not like
Yeah, as a Jiva soul, Prabhu.
as a Jiva
We
soul,
are we
we
are a
wanted to.
Jiva soul. We are not human. I mean, of course, we don't know what is our original position in the spiritual world. That's why I selected this chart, right? If you see this chart, spiritual world
Sorry, I did
begins
not
with
see
the
the chart. Where is the chart?
okay. This chart is available in ISKCON Desire Tree. You can put Golok Dhamma, but
Okay.
if we can make it bigger, this material world is a bubble which is like a resting on the head of the Anant Shesh as a mustard seed. And there is a Viraja river, and Mahavishnu, which is called Karanodaya Vishnu, he's lying down on that river, and all the materials first are dropping from his body. It's good, really good question, and I can explain myself really good over here, and I'll try to speak slowly.
Yeah.
So about the Mahavishnu, there is a called Brahma Jyoti, which is nothing but the effulgence coming from the Krishna's body. So, first place in the spiritual world is called Kailas Dhamma, where the Sadashiv, which is always, that's why we chant our Mangla Charan with the, both the Leelas. So, Lord Shiva lives there and he's chanting Mahabharata. In our world, Lord Shiva lives in Kailas, Mount Kailas, and he is chanting Ramayana to the Mother Parvati. In spiritual world, first Dham, Kailas, that's when Chitraketu probably, or he was here though. So, about that, is the Ayodhya, that is the abode of Lord Ram. About that is the Mathura, about that is the Dwarka, about that is the Mathura. In the center is the Golok Vrindavan. So from Mathura is part of Golok Vrindavan, but from Dwarika, Ayodhya, and of course Dwarika and Ayodhya is called it's like a Aishwarya Bhav, where the Lord is a king and he is opulent. So still Lord has in Golok Dham, nobody considers Lord as Lord. He is like a cowherd boy. He is the son of Mother Yashoda and son of Nand Maharaj. Actually, Sachidanand Maharaj says most of some exalted devotee, they say like, somebody worship this, somebody worship that. Somebody worships Nand Maharaj, in whose courtyard the Lord of the universe is playing as like a little boy, and he's scared of the the fear personified. See, everything is personified. So in the material world, everything is like, it's a covered. We are like, everything, the tree. In the spiritual world, everything is fear himself is a personified. Like bhakti, the bhakti personifies Radharani herself. Mukti is personified Yashoda Mata. So in the spiritual world, we have some form. We don't know what form. And that's what Narsimha Mehta realized. He was a Gopa. Actually, he was originally the demigod. And when Krishna comes, he orders demigods to take birth in the different families so he can do his lila. See, this all happens in Brahma's one day. Brahma lives 100 years. Total, according to material calculation, Brahma's life is Brahma's lifespan is 311 trillion years. But according to Brahma's whole calculation, he just lives 100 years. Like we live 100 years average. So we are a spirit soul and we decide to come here. But that's what repeatedly comes in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that why did this happen? Because we desire, Lord is so merciful, he says, so be it. So that's why he covers his energy, his energy covers our identity as a soul, our made identity. And then we identify ourselves with this body. So for example, if I die with some wishes, Krishna will fulfill that wish. But according to my karma, there Krishna doesn't come. Unless until I say, okay, I'm done with it, Krishna show me how to get out of it, then we can come to some genuine Vaishnava philosophy and we can worship Lord and go back. See, only way to get out of this is a devotional service. There is no other way. There is no other way, no other way, no other way. And devotional services, different yuga is a different, but still the essence remains the same. unalloyed devotion. But Prabhupada really defined it, unalloyed loving service to Krishna.
Hmm.
You follow me?
I
I still didn't answer your question.
I followed can you hear me, Prabhuji?
Sure, I can hear you.
Yeah. So I followed the exit part from this world. I did not follow completely the entry part. Like,
I think maybe
what are we
Ramchandra
doing?
Prabhu can help me, please, because I think we decided, if I said wrong, then you can correct me. Please, Prabhu, somebody should help me, because we should answer Ashish Prabhu, please.
Rattak Prabhu, you want to take a shot?
Yeah, Prabhu. So Ashish Pachuri is the question: how did we enter the material world? Is that the question? I was trying to. Yeah.
Like, I think it is in context with what Prabhuji was telling. We decided to come. We took a shot to come in this world, and Prabhuji said, "Okay, with my mercy, you can go in this world, explore this world. It's a world filled with sorrow. The only way to get out is bhakti."
Right. So what's the missing part again? Because
The
he
entry,
said
how
the entry. The entry is
we?
it's based on our desire. So we were originally in the spiritual world, as Srila Prabhupada explains also. And then we had this desire, and I'm putting it in very simple terms. There is a lot of background that can be added to it, but just in the interest of time, and just keeping things simple. We were in the spiritual world, and we had this tendency to kind of, hey, I want to enjoy separately from Krishna. And then we had this desire to enjoy separately. And because in the spiritual world, there is no other enjoyer other than Krishna. So there is kind of almost like a mela or a drama created for us where we get to be the so-called enjoyer, and the so-called the center of universe. It's almost like what's a good example? I always think about this ice cream bells that ice cream vans that come on the streets, ting, 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 ting. They have these ting, ting, ting. So
Yeah.
let's say if there's this is a very crude example, but the child is happy at home and he's having nice sweets at home. But suddenly on the street, he hears this nice sound, ting, 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 and then he wants to go outside and explore. And somehow this ice cream is not the most beneficial for the child, but still the child is attracted. So the child wants to explore, the child wants to eat it. So that's kind of what happened. We were happy in the spiritual world, but then we had this sense of enjoyment that we wanted to enjoy separately from Krishna. It's not just a question of enjoy, but enjoy separately from Krishna is what sort of resulted in us coming to the material world. There can be a lot of details added, and it might be done best in person. So other things can be added to it, but that's in very simple terms.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Ramchandra, would anything else you would like to add to it, or anyone else?
No, Prabhu, I'm okay.
Okay. Yes, Mataji, you can, Shankara, Mataji, you can come off. Yes, please go ahead. Sorry.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yes, so Prabhu, just a point to add to this question. The question comes that we came from spiritual world. So the question may be that, okay, we are doing bhakti and go back to spiritual world. But because we've fallen from the spiritual world once, can we fall back in here again? But our Shastras, multiple places, it says that once we go to spiritual world, there is no falling back from there. So the question really arises that were we in spiritual world to begin with? So I had asked this question to the Sannyasi committee, a very senior devotee here in Alachua Temple, Florida. He is one of the GBC members with the Sannyas Ministry, and he actually trains those who are, he himself is a sannyas candidate. It's just a matter of time that he would get it. But he actually trains the to be sannyasis in our movement. So he explained that, we know that Krishna has three potencies: internal, external, and marginal. And we are the marginal energy. So marginal energies cannot ever stay independent. They cannot stay independent. They will either have to stay under the internal potency, which is Krishna's Yogmaya potency, or they have to stay under the external energy, which is the Maya potency, the Mahamaya potency, the material nature. So, so where were we? We were in a tathastha situation, really at the border, where we could decide whether we want to go into the spiritual world or we want to come to the material world. So there is this tathastha region, and from there we can actually see both sides. And then, and as Maya Devi puts up, as you said, that there's a wonderful fair going on in there. That's what she does, to really see that because that's the question of our free choice there too as well, because we have that free choice all the time. So he said that that's where we were, and we could see both the sides. And, those jivas who decided to, enjoy separately and have their own enjoyment without having to serve Krishna, they came to the world of Maya. But Krishna again arranges this world in such a way so that we can use this material world to go back to spiritual world. So once we go back to spiritual world, there is definitely no coming back from there. So that's how he explained. And there are many other research scholars in our movement who actually back that thing up. I don't want to name those devotees, but I have actually gotten it confirmed from many other senior devotees in our movement who do say that, yes, it's a kind of a tathastha region where the marginal energy can see both sides and then make a decision. Because once you go to spiritual world, there's absolutely no coming back from there. Acharyas have written about it in detail, like Jiva Goswami has written it in so many of his writings. So I just wanted to share that part, Prabhu. But because we are tathastha, we can choose. We kind of oscillate from material and spiritual.
Thanks for sharing, Madhavi. That's helpful.
Yeah, I can say, I will conclude, but I can say something too. Think about it's a dream. So, we know that this material world is dream anyhow. So you don't want to do the bad dream again, right? We have so many good dreams or bad dreams. So and in other words, our philosophy is Achintya Beda based. So if we worship Krishna, this material will become spiritual. But when there is a Krishna, there is no material thing. So when you worship Krishna, like Prabhupada said, you can bring them. There is no need to go anywhere, and that's why Narsimha Mehta in one of the poems says that some people, they don't want a liberation. They want, like, every time Nitya Seva, Nitya Kirtana, Ochav, Nirakhava, Nanda Kumar. That means every time they want to work. Like, say if we remain in ISKCON and next time we get birth in ISKCON devotee, what's the big deal? We know that we are not this body.
Right.
So it's like Achintya Beda Bed. There is no difference between spiritual and material if Krishna remains in the center.
Yes, no, that makes sense, Prabhu. And there are different versions of it, right? What Mataji was sharing. There are different schools of thought, and Prabhupada also mentions different things at different places. I think one of the answers I personally like is Prabhupada says, like many of his disciples also asked, like, were we in the spiritual world or what happened? And it's a controversial, like it's a deep topic, and there can be many schools of thoughts, which is fine. I think one thing that Prabhupada says, which I like personally, is like if there's a house on fire, we're not going to kind of do research. How did it catch fire? Or where it got fire? Okay, those things are important, but right now what's important is the house is on fire. Let's get out of it, and let's get everyone out of it also. There should not be too much analysis on why, how. Okay, those things are important, but that will come with time, with purity and everything. So then this is the best answer I like from Prabhupada, because I've heard also from different scholars and different people have different versions of it. And Prabhupada himself said different things, but this is an answer that kind of, and with purity, with time, with our own sincerity, we will all find the right answers. But But again, because there's so many different versions out there, it's hard to say this is what it is. But I like Prabhupada's answer very much, and so I stick to that, and just for simplicity's sake, for now at least.
Yes, Prabhu. I'm totally with you on that. That's the best thing to deal with, because I think this is what Manindra Prabhu also said in his discourse today, that don't worry about what has happened, what has not happened, what's going to happen. You are in the process, just do your process nicely and keep proceeding on the path. So yeah, this is that's definitely, and my Guru Maharaj also says that something that has happened, how it has happened, why it has happened, you're going to waste a lot of time in doing that. Prabhupada has given you the process, stick to it, carry on, and try to get out of this house which is burning like Davanal. So yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for bringing that in, and I'm totally with you on that. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. I think we are well over time. So considering tomorrow is a working day, we can end the session here. Manindra Prabhu, thank you once again for giving such a nice session, giving your personal touch, your little poems, little details about your father as well. It was very helpful. And thank you everyone for attending on a working day, such a late night session. I know we went over by a bit because of the discussion, but I think it was a nice discussion to have. We should have more of these. I feel, we're going to continue with our readings tomorrow. I think tomorrow's session is just looking at the schedule is we continue the stories from Srimad Bhagavatam. So King Amrish Maharaj's protection, how he got protected. So we'll continue that tomorrow at 8:30. But thank you again, everyone, for joining today's session, and hope everyone's Kartik's going well so far. And I apologize for my throat. I'm just a bit under the weather. So thank you for bearing with that. And I wish everyone Hare Krishna, and see you all soon.
Haribol.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Haribol.
Very well.